What's going on, everybody? GemMint here, and these are the weekly comic book day reviews. It's Wednesday, November 2nd, and as always, gonna go through this week's books as spoiler-free as possible. It also is WhatNot Wednesday, so I'm going live at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. Got a couple little Wolverine giveaways to do for the stream, plus dollar start auctions that last as little as 15 seconds. It's an hour, and then it goes on to the rest of the WhatNot Wednesday squad for 9 hours of auctions, so come through and hang out. And we're gonna start with the indies this week. Let's jump into Bloodstained Teeth. We're on issue 6, Christian Ward, Mac Chatter. There has been a little bit of a hiatus here, and we are in a new arc following this new character that we see on the cover here, getting her origin, not your typical sip as we've had in this series before. Really a mother trying to save her daughter. Treatments haven't been working, so we go the vampire route. So nice to see a different kind of story in this universe. Great art style, great coloring. Dug this issue. Moving on to Hell to Pay, issue 1. This is by Charles Soule, Sliney, Rosenberg, and Crank. Man, this was a great #1 issue. A lot of world building. I mean, Charles Soule did 8 Billion Genies. Nice, cool idea. And we're getting the same thing here. Hell to Pay is a very literal kind of term because it talks about how hell has its own currency and demons can trade currency, and it's the regret of a human, an affair that they had that would have led to this child, and they're trading that as currency in hell. Some of these coins, there's an exact number of them, get released onto Earth, and we find these people who are trying to escape hell, having to track them down. There's a lot of world building in this issue, but it doesn't ever feel like it's overwhelming or there's too much to take in. I thought it was just enough, and it was a lot, and it really makes you intrigued to see what happens with the next issue. So Hell to Pay, super dope. Then we have King Spawn. We're on to issue 16, Sean Lewis, Javier Fernandez. You know what's going on in King Spawn. Spawn's locked the dead zones. He's let a little sliver of the dead zone open so that a demon can get through. I don't know. The whole point here is he's trying to get Wanda, trying to get her resurrected without having to be a pawn of hell and become the king of hell, or the King Spawn, as it were. All right, let's wrap it up, guys. The Spawn stuff's starting to get a little bit stale. I mean, I dig the artwork. It just... not a lot happens in the span of an issue, hence dragging on the story for so long. And then jumping over to Little Monsters, issue 7, Jeff Lemire, Dustin Nguyen. This also feels like it's been on a little bit of a hiatus, and we finally are back into it. The series has been growing on me. I didn't love it right away. This focuses on the child who doesn't speak, and one of the other kids kind of figuring out that they probably know more than they're letting on to, giving us hints and glimpses into this post-apocalyptic world. Where are all the adults? What happened to them? And us as readers still don't know, but we got more of a glimpse as well. So I dug it. Little Monsters. And then the last one we have is Old Dog. This is by Delkin Shelby with Clayton Cowles. It's okay. I mean, it's not my favorite series, but it's not one that I feel like I want to drop. It's like old man CIA agent. We're following this guy. I don't even remember the specifics, to be honest. It feels very familiar. If I dropped it, I probably wouldn't miss it. Dead Eyes is the series that it reminded me of that I was trying to think of during the poll list video I did last week. Boom Studios has a new #1 coming out called Behold Behemoth. This is by Tate Bromble and Nick Robles. I really dug this one. I'm trying to see how I can explain the synopsis here. It's almost like we have this connection of brothers. One is alive on Earth and the other one is in hell. And they have this connection. He knows that the brother is dead, but you're getting these like flashes happening in real time of the brother fighting his way through hell, trying to stop this behemoth that you can see lurking in the background of the cover here. There was a lot going on in this one. I read this one on the plane on the way back from Baltimore Comic-Con, so I know I'm missing out on pieces, but I really dug this. It felt very similar to like Hell to Pay. It's definitely a #1 you should pick up. Dope world building, heaven and hell stuff. Like, again, I like when the stakes are as big as possible, so I dug Behold Behemoth. Dynamite had a couple of new #1s come out. You had Cherish issue 1. Don't see the creative team here. It's kind of like an Eon Flux inspired spy thriller. Cherish, the female on the cover, trying to figure out who killed her father as a kid. She can only remember that he was smoking on a pipe or something like that. It was okay. I mean, it wasn't my favorite story. Not really like I'm looking forward to issue 2, but I read the issue. I got through it. I didn't drop it. I thought it was okay. And then Vampirella versus Red Sonja comes out here with a new #1. Lucio Perillo. Now, if you look at this cover, you're going to think it's just like a brawl between Vampirella and Red Sonja, but it's not. This is written by Dan Abnett, and he does some Dan Abnett type cosmic stuff going on. It's like a multiverse, almost like Crisis on Infinite Earths. Like you have like this home base of all of these heroes that we don't really know who they are. It feels very DC Justice League-y. And the way that they explain the projections, Earth projection 134, it's almost like, you know, Earth 616. But when they use the term projection, it kind of reminds me of like the theory that reality is just like a projection of some type of AI or something like that. But anyway, you have these demons that are taking over one of the Earths, almost like a Dark Crisis type of vibe. And they have Vampirella, who is being accused of being a demon, trapped in this like HQ watchtower type of place that Red Sonja interrogates. And it doesn't feel anything like I thought it was going to be. And at first I was thinking it was a little weird because it's a lot of that kind of Justice League vibe. But then when it gets into the whole Vampirella, Red Sonja thing, I kind of got into it, man. So interested to see where Dan Abnett takes this story. Moving over to Marvel, guys, Punisher issue 7 is here. Jason Aaron, Saez, Aceta, and Stewart. I almost gave this one the gem of the week. I really dug this. This is Punisher versus Daredevil. Daredevil trying to say, Frank, yo, what is going on here? I've been possessed by this beast before. I know how to get rid of it. Man, Punisher taking it to the next level here. I don't want to give any spoilers, but man, the kind of flashbacks. And Jason Aaron did this really well in the Max series too, of Frank coming home from the war and how he was around his family, his wife and kids, and how they were afraid of him. I don't know. It was really deep, man. Jason Aaron cuts deep on Punisher. Man, it should have got Gem of the Week. It's the Marvel Gem of the Week for sure. Moving on to Hulk issue 10, Donny Cates, Ryan Ottley. So Hulk, last issue, we see him take Starship Hulk to space. We're assuming he goes into Planet Hulk, but that was kind of like the setup for this story arc, which it's quite literal, a planet that was created out of the battle between Thor and Hulk, and the whole terraforming that happened, and that the relativity is different, so time moves differently there, and it's basically a planet that worships Hulk, full of Hulks. The cover's a little bit misleading, but maybe that'll go or lead into the second part of this story. Still not really a big fan of this series. They are trying different things, I'll give them that. Deadpool's here with a new #1. This is written by Wong and it's Kokolo and Menon. What I like about Deadpool is that they treat it like an X book. It even has the white data pages, which I feel like this one had like 4 pages of that stuff. I'm not really into that, but it felt like, okay, yeah, Deadpool's a mutant, X-Force, X-Men kind of stuff. And they really did a good job of tying this in with the Absolute Carnage run, believe it or not. So you have this woman, I think her name is the Harrow, who is trying to feed the Carnage symbiote that she found on the grounds in New York City or wherever Absolute Carnage happened. But the problem is the symbiote just eats alive and drains whatever the host is, like whether it's a rat or a human or whatever. So she traps Deadpool because his body can regenerate. So that's the synopsis here. Trying to resurrect this Carnage symbiote using Deadpool as the host. And there's also this kind of funny, like, he is hired to kill Dr. Octopus thing that's also going on in this story. It was a pretty good issue. I'll read issue 2, put it that way. Then we have Savage Avengers 2099 issue 7. This is by Papos, Magno, and Grutengern. I love this series. I love how this issue circles back with something that happened in issue 1. Something that happened with the Miles Morales Deathlock that really created this version of 2099. I love all the cameos. I can say safely now that obviously Ultron is the Deathlock Prime in the future that they're fighting here, but another 2099 character, fan favorite, gets revealed in this issue, and it's not Punisher. So I kind of like where they went with that. It wasn't my favorite issue out of this series so far. I was reading a lot of it, and even though it was big, explosive, action-packed scenes, I still kind of felt like it was just, I was going through the motions reading it. It really wasn't until the end that I was like, okay, I'm back on board, baby. Then we got Predator issue 4, Ed Brisson, Kev Walker, and Frank D. Armada. So the woman on the front has been hunting down this specific predator that killed her family when she was a kid. She's actually killed 23 predators on her way searching for this one. And as she's searching for the predator, we find out that the predators actually have been searching for her, which makes sense, right? Because she's killed so many of them. So that kind of comes to a head here. We're only in issue 4. I'm not sure how long this is scheduled to run, but I'll keep reading to see what happens. X-Men Red is here with issue 8, Al Ewing. He is joined by Musa Baikov and Blee. So new story arc, post Axe Judgment Day. Nothing to do with Storm or Magneto anymore. This is all about Cable. I thought that was cool that they brought Cable back, but I just kind of felt like this was a very boring issue. And they're going against these progenitors. I was like, isn't that the name of the Celestial from Axe? But here it was just some other kind of monster. Yeah, that's right. So somebody has harvested the technovirus from Cable and is trying to study it and try to get it to breed. Some nice explanation on how Cable still has the technovirus, dealing with the Skrulls and Abigail Brand, which we'll talk about the Skrulls a little bit more next up, because we have Secret Invasion issue 1. This is by North Mobili and Belair. So, Secret Invasion, the show is coming. It almost feels like, hey, we got to make a comic about it just to start building up the hype. So we get this Nick Fury Skrull story. He tries to explain to Maria Hill what happened. He's not telling the whole truth. There's obviously a twist at the end. I thought it was okay. I recently read the omnibus for Secret Invasion, which was dope. So this just kind of feels like we're in very familiar territory. Again, for the show coming up, we're gearing up for that. And the last one for Marvel, it's Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. This is a one-shot. It's by Schnick, Sandoval, Nava, and Silva. I wish I would have known it was a one-shot by reading the synopsis, because I probably would have just passed on it. However, I will say one thing about this issue. It had amazing artwork and even better coloring, and it's all about the Guardians fighting this hand with an infinity gem in it, and it feels very much like the Guardians team from the movie. The dialogue is similar. It's not bad. I thought it was good. And the whole background is that the hive mind of Xandar is trying to learn more about the humans, the Terrans. So trying to interview Peter Quill mid-battle, and then we find out have already interviewed the rest of the team to learn more about, humans, like I said, which it ended up being like a touching, nice issue. So even though they baited me with it, I didn't know if it was a new #1 or what. I ended up reading it, and I did like it. Before we get into the DC books and the gem of the week, we are in open enrollment for the Comic Tom 101 Mystery Mail Call for November. You have until November 15th to sign up, and not only will you receive comics at random, but you'll also get this exclusive variant for Mighty Morphin Power Rangers issue 101, Rita Repulsa on the cover, done by Greta Lutsky. You'll also receive a Batman Beyond issue 1, reprinting the original Batman Beyond first appearance of Terry McGinnis, Gabriel Del Otto cover with the trade dress, and you'll also receive one kid's book from Scoot Comics. Hit Comic Tom 101 right now to sign up for the mystery mail call. $34.99 plus $10 priority shipping, and international folks can get a crack at the box over on WhatNot. All right, guys, let's jump in with The Joker. This is The Man Who Stopped Laughing issue 2 by Rosenberg, D. Giamencio, Francavilla, and Prianto. So my shop only had this cover left, and now I want to hunt down all of these foil covers. This is the 90s Rewind cover, and it reminds me of like what those Avengers 90s books that had like bronze and silver covers like this. Anyway, I really liked issue 1. Issue 2, not so much, man. We're kind of following the path of these two different Jokers. I like the ideas that they play with at the end of this issue as to who the Joker that we're following this whole time is. Harley Quinn in this kind of future where she is all about Supergirl and not Joker. I don't know. That was pretty interesting. But yeah, I just kind of felt a little bored during this issue. And speaking of Harley Quinn, I'm not reading this series, but I had to pick up this Harley Quinn, what is this, issue 21 homage to the Killing Joke. I thought that was great. And then there was also one for the Joker 15 from the Tiny and Run, which is like a modern day take on that because he's taking a picture with his cell phone. Anyway, it's like the first time they really got me with variants at the store. Then we have Dark Knights of Steel, issue 8 out of 12, Tom Taylor, Putri, and Prianto. I really liked the first like couple of issues of this series, but it feels very Game of Thrones-y. This was all about this big battle that's coming because of the death of... Who was the king that died? I don't even remember, to be honest. The only thing about this that really keeps me going is that last panel on the last page, man. So... very Game of Thrones-ish. You never know who's going to die. Nothing matters. It's Elseworld. So whatever. But Batman 129, Chip Zdarsky, joined by Jorge Jimenez and Maury. Almost got Gem of the Week. Awesome book. We're continuing this Failsafe story. Failsafe's got Batman on the run. He's going underwater. He's going into outer space, trying to combat the Failsafe that he created in the event that he ever went off the rails, took a life, or what have you. So... Batman on the run. I dug it. Great artwork, obviously. Jorge Jimenez, one of the best. And then we have the Gotham City Year 1 Issue 2. This is by Tom King, Phil Hester, Eric Gapster, and Jordi Belair. I like this one even more than Issue 1. We're following this kind of ransom for the kidnapped child. I thought it was of the Thomas Wayne. I feel like it's Thomas Wayne's parents, but that's not even really, I think, made too clear in this book. Trying to follow the ransom notes from this Batman character, which is not really a Batman. He just has like this bat signature, which I feel like is going to end up being revealed to be something completely different. I like this story. It feels very like Gotham City Central noir, though. It's got like a pretty, you know, simple color palette to it. It feels very much like I'm reading a Brubaker book, but Tom King. And then we have lastly the gem of the week, my favorite comic book of the week. But before we jump into it, this video is brought to you by Ninja Funk. Issue 1 comes out on November 2nd. They hit over 105,000 pre-orders. Be on the lookout for Issue 2 that drops on December 14th with this beautiful David Nakayama cover. Shout out to Ninja Funk and WhatNot Publishing. All right, guys, so there were a lot of contenders for Gem of the Week, but I'm going to go ahead and give it to this Batman and Joker, the Deadly Duo. Mark Silvestri killed the artwork on this. Let me see if I can get a good panel for you guys. First of all, I love this depiction of the Batcave with all of those Batmobiles. It makes sense that he would have so many of them. And we also get a new kind of Batmobile design in this book. Here it goes right here. I like that kind of red top. So this is basically a tall, slender person with white, pale skin and green hair has been murdering all throughout Gotham, and Batman's trying to track him down. And they kind of explain to us the Batman universe like it's our first time reading it, which I really liked, kind of telling us things about Batman and about Gotham. Very gritty, dark art style to it. And obviously there is a twist at the end because this is the Deadly Duo. Joker and Batman have to team up to fight this villain who has a similar likeness to the Joker. So I was digging it. There was a lot of great comics this week. I just felt like this one deserved the highlight. Definitely want to continue reading that series. Let me know what your favorite comics were in the comments down below. And as always, I appreciate y'all watching. Stay minty fresh. Peace.